Today's legal landscape is expensive. Victims are typically left out of the picture, with no closure, no voice, and no reparations.
A traditional criminal justice response, an offender can come through the court and never make contact with the victim. And the victim never gets a real voice in terms of saying how it impacted them.
You never know, is this person sorry? Do they even realize? Because that's not what's talked about in court. And you go to court standing for the judge, that might last 30 seconds, it might be 3 minutes, but they're not going to talk about the things that are important to you.
Young people who commit a crime enter the system of punishment. They become a case number. They are often taken out of school, removed from their families, and alienated from their communities. They enter the revolving door of the system of crime and punishment, beginning a lifelong cycle of crime, incarceration, and isolation.
Because there are so many people who are involved in criminal behavior that maybe if someone had intervened or would intervene at a different time or earlier, maybe it could change the course of their lives.
In Louisville, more than 6,000 juvenile complaints are filed each year. Kentucky's corrections budget is growing much faster than total state government spending. And to compensate, our leaders have been forced to reduce spending in other areas, such as education.
I really didn't want him to go to jail because then ultimately he'll miss school and it'll be a situation to where it wouldn't be beneficial for anybody. And then I was contacted about the program and talked to my wife about it, and we agreed to do it. I mean, it was something new, and anything that can help change, we were willing to do. The challenge was coming up with a restitution that was fair for everyone involved.
But with increasing costs and decreasing budgets, the system just isn't equipped to make exceptions, to take into account culture and faith. It can't address the needs of victims, break the cycle of crime for offenders, or repair the harm to all stakeholders, offender, victim, and community. Fortunately, though, Restorative Justice-Louisville can. It brings together the victim, offender, and the community to make things right, with a plan that fits their culture and situation.
Restorative justice is really about the victim getting a say in terms of what happened to them and how it made them feel. And so for the offender, it's very difficult to have to sit there and add that human element to it and resolve that, the damage to the relationship between human being and human being.
People are calling for this, and the community wants it. The neighborhoods, they want this. They want to be involved because they understand that they're a part of, that we have a group of people in jail that we're really afraid of, and then there's another group that we're just mad at. And so for the folks that we're mad at, we want to deal with it a different way because we see that the way we're doing it is just not working. I like the idea of saying, you have taken this woman's purse. Let me show you what impact that had.
Well, I left the decision up to Mom since it was her stuff that was missing, and she kept saying that she didn't want to send nobody to jail or something, so we just went along with the program.
Restorative Justice-Louisville is voluntary and uses a family group conference model where victims of juvenile crime are able to meet with their young offender and work out an agreement for making things right.
This is not about how somebody gets off. This is about you being accountable to me as a human being, not to the system, not to the city at large, to me. You hurt me. Say you're sorry to me. Help me heal.
In a family group conference, a trained facilitator leads participants through a series of questions that allows everyone the opportunity to describe what happened and the impact it had on them. The conference concludes with the group reaching an agreement on how the harm can be repaired. These conferences can be held before or after sentencing, or as an alternative to court.
I think it was a wonderful process because it brought everyone in, and it was a private thing between us and the family. It's nothing went outside of here.
They're beginning to see the difference in what they do, and that aha light comes on. It's like it's more than just about the offense, but all the other things that have added up over the way, along the way, and maybe to see that not just to think about themselves, but to think about others as they make choices in life. And I saw that aha light come on more than once, and I'm like, okay, we got him.
We gave him some options to some of the things he could do. He had to get his grades. He had to work on his grades. I think his grade, he was failing in certain subjects. We gave him the option to join some of our programs. We also had him come in and he had to do a little bit of a little housework around the center, nothing major, just had to sweep and things like that.
Restorative justice supplements the current justice system, but instead of determining who is innocent or guilty, restorative justice focuses on who is responsible for the harm and how the harm can be repaired.
The idea of giving everybody a say, the offender, the victim, the community, an equal say, goes against what the traditional criminal justice response is, which is to punish and make sure justice has been served because somebody was punished. There's no restoration there.
So to the extent that you can show, especially young people, that they are wanted, that they are valued, that whatever somebody has told you about yourself is not all of who you are and may not be any of who you are, then I think we help to restore them as well, which really helps us to get this community to be the safest. There are so many people who are hurt and never really feel like they get the closure that they need. And then there are so many that are engaging in negative behavior that need to understand that they too are worthy of restoration.
The goal is to keep the young person out of the court system and prevent them from committing crimes in the future. But it isn't soft on crime. The juvenile offender must take responsibility for what they did. Most of all, Restorative Justice-Louisville helps the victim feel heard and involved in the outcome, so they can move from being a victim to being a survivor.
I think when people hear about programs like this, sometimes they feel like, oh, you're going to be, we want to be tough on crime. You're just giving people another chance. You're doing this, you're doing that. And the reality is, I think there are so many victims out there, so many people who have been hurt that need to be restored themselves, that really would welcome the opportunity to have someone say, I'm sorry.
Restorative Justice-Louisville's juvenile pilot program began in the Metro Police Department's 2nd Division. The goal is to extend the program to all of Jefferson County and to adults, and then eventually help implement this approach throughout the state.
Right now, Kentucky is getting on board with a really exciting time across the country that has recognized that traditional criminal justice responses are maybe not as effective as we had hoped, and that there's a need.
I see a community coming together, solving problems together. It's kind of what our mayor talks about, the compassionate city, and coming together and working together and making things right for everybody involved.
Already, through Restorative Justice-Louisville, Mr. Bush is helping a kid get to college.
Every individual has challenges, and if we can come up with creative ways to look at doing something different, you won't know if it'll be successful unless you try.
Right, and the bottom line is investing in his future and just letting him know, yes, you did wrong, and there is a consequence for your behavior. However, we want you to know that there's a better way, and education is the key.
Marie has another grandson.
I said, now you got another grandmother, yeah.
And the California Community Center is another member stronger.
I think it was a good thing for him, and I think it did impact his life, and I think it will change, it did change his life. Hopefully long term it will, because he did get to see and he did make improvements during the process of the program, because if he didn't follow through on some of the things that we did, then he was going to have to end up paying for it. It's just like you're on probation.
Get involved with Restorative Justice-Louisville and help our youth and our system break the cycle.
If this approach were to really take hold in this community a decade from now or 20 years from now, I really do see us being the safest city in America.